Hey everyone, this is Professor Stitch, and we are going to do something a little bit different today. Now, as some of you might know, I have been tinkering away trying to build my own games. Shocking, I know, surprise, it's not like I ever talk about it or anything. But I figured today, I'll put my money where my mouth is, and let's actually show you what I've been building. So this is what I've been working on at the moment. For the last few years, I've been kind of struggling trying to make a really over-ambitious big game, and it was just going nowhere. So a friend of mine suggested a pretty decent idea. He said, why didn't I break it up into smaller projects? So that's what I've done. So I'm creating this anthology series, the Copperport Casefiles, which is a series of sort of paranormal, standalone horror stories that kind of eventually make one big story. And the idea is, with each one of these, I can experiment and add a new mechanic on top, make things a little bit more complicated, a little bit more detailed. So for now, this first one's going to be all about just getting my framework in place, working out how I tell my stories, and putting in a few little locked door puzzles maybe. So here we are on the first screen, and I really hate that mouse cursor actually, I need to change that at some point. Not much to note on here. We've got our basic controls menu, sort of WASD, mouse, crouch, run and jump are all on there, but they're kind of a little bit irrelevant to this one episode really. But I've added those in there for future ones, so they might come in handy. Extras does not do a hell of a lot just yet. I do have a bunch of sweet ideas for extra content I'm going to chuck in there, but it's not vital to gameplay, so that will have to wait. I think where it comes to work on this bit, settings is where I've put in the most. So we've got all our standard volumes, sort of master music effect, very much standard stuff, subtitles on and off. Invert Y-axis, because some of you like that, but then some people just want to see the world burn. Don't understand you guys. 30 FPS max. Now this is an interesting one. This limits the frame rate to 30 frames per second. Now you might wonder why the hell would I want to do that? But if you're using a machine like mine, which is a 12-year-old laptop held together with blue tack, it's worth limiting the frame rate because you don't get any lags from those big jumps when it drops from 60 down to 30 and back up again. Yeah, it just smoothens things out a little bit. We got window and full screen options, and for all you dual monitor lots out there, don't panic. The windowed option does have a cursor lock. Brightness and field of view. Yeah, all pretty standard stuff, so let's stop boring ourselves with the technical stuff and actually have a little bit of a peek. Actually, I'm going to turn that one on, bearing in mind how shocking my laptop is. Right, let's start.
Massingham Valley Dispatch, how can I help?
Yeah, hi. Is this the police non-emergency line?
Yes, we dispatch for them. Can I help you?
I'd like to request a well-being check on a neighbour. It's probably nothing, but he's kind of frail and I just haven't seen him around for a few days.
OK, can I take the gentleman's name, please?
Peter Renton, who was at 12 Rock Ferry Lane.
An officer's on the way. Can I take your name, please?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, sadly that is the last of the voice acting, so I'm going to have to improv the rest for you. Anyway, let's see. Following a call to the Copperport Police Department, Constable Henry Crane arrives at the Renton property to investigate. There we go. God, chewing my words there. Dispatch, this is Constable Crane. I'm on scene at the Renton property. Acknowledged. Report back once you've located Mr. Renton. I don't know why he's a robot. Confirmed, dispatch. Stand by. Awesome. We are in. So first couple of things you might notice here. One is the grainy black and white filter and the overall styling of it. So I say I'm trying to go for this sort of Twilight Zone hammer horror retro classic vibe with it. So it's all very stylised. The other thing you may have picked up, and you obviously have picked up on, is it's in third person, which is particularly rare for indie horror, I tend to find. But I grew up on a steady diet of Resident Evil and Silent Hill, so third person horror is very much me and I'm very fond of it. Don't panic though, all of you first person gamers out there, because ta-da! You can toggle backwards and forwards between the two with just the tap of a key. Righty. Anyway, so where are we? Yes, so a phone call's been made to the police department saying that the old man who lives here hasn't been seen in a while, and we're now playing as the officer investigating. And yeah, I'm aware that the rest of the world is very desolate. That will get fixed towards the end, but it's not vital to gameplay at the moment. Right, I'm not even going to bother with the front door because I already know it doesn't open. Right, just a heads up, this is going to be quite a short one because I am going to cut quite a bit and avoid quite a lot. Because, quite frankly, I don't want to be hitting you all up with spoilers and giving the game away from the start. These shadows were a pain in the arse, by the way. I had to hand paint the ones onto the terrain, each one individually. But I think they came out alright. Nice. You may notice as well that I have subtly highlighted every single door that you need to go through with a conveniently placed light. Well, it's not really subtle, is it? It's kind of glaringly bloody obvious, but it's a nice little way to lead the player. Right, now all of these are going to be locked. The shed's locked, the garage is locked, the back door's locked. But I will give away the first puzzle right from the start, because it's not really a puzzle, it's just an introduction to it. So, if we try and open the back door, this door is locked. The glass is cracked, maybe I can use that. Right, so, how are we going to use that? Well, another throwback to the 80s and 90s gaming is I've gone for the good old sparkle on items you can pick up. What have we got here? We have a red engineering brick. I wonder what we're going to do with that. So I will take us straight into our inventory. Yep, we have red engineering brick. Oh, on another note, you see we have a clues menu here as well. I've never been a big fan of the old horror game trope of leaving notes to tell the story. I mean, it works, it does the job, but it's a bit immersion breaking if you ask me. I just can't picture any of these life or death situations where people are stopping to write a journal. It never felt right. So what I'm going for instead is more like a crime scene investigation. We're just going to have evidence you find laying around, and as you pick up each item it will reveal a bit more of the story. Right, so let's make use of this brick. Eye for inventory again. Yeah! Right, let's pop open the door. Excellent. Just FYI, there is a run function, I'm just not using it at the moment because, quite frankly, the run animation is ugly as shit. That will get tidied up. Okay, and once again, yes, a lot of detail still needs to be added because that is an empty fridge. Although I was very pleased with myself for my not so subtle using the fridge door to light up the back door. Now this is going to be an interesting bit, because to our right is the living room, and I can't show you what's in there because it's part of the story, so I need to try and get across this room without you seeing. Let's have a little look at this though, because these... Actually, I'm going to go first person so we can get a better look. The artwork in this game, on the walls, was all donated by an artist friend of mine, a Mr. Pete Shawnee. So if any of you want to check out his work, he's on Instagram at PeacockPete. But big thank you, Peter. That was really helpful. Oh, actually, we can show you this while we're at it as well, because this is one of the pieces of evidence I've included. And try and not show the living room while I'm at it. We have a framed degree in anthropology. I can hit the J button for our clues. And we have an examine option. So, a degree in anthropology from the University of Hertfordshire. Awarded to Peter Clive Renton on the 19th of March, 1973. Right, so we know he's an anthropologist. Now, this little button here... Once we've collected up all the clues, well, as we collect the clues, we'll unlock bits of a video clip that will tell you the whole story. Now, no, I haven't found anything yet that will give the story away, so yeah, let's show you what I mean.
At 9:37 p.m. on the 18th of April 2019, following a concerned neighbour's call, Police Constable Henry Crane arrived at the home of the recluse Peter Renton. Prior to his death, Mr. Renton had been a noted academic, graduating in 1973 with a PhD of Anthropology from the University of Hertfordshire. He would later return to the university in 1979 to take up a position as a professor of mythology and folklore.
Yeah, so all those little static bits are parts of the video where we haven't unlocked the clues yet. So I think if I remember right, there's going to be about 15 different unlockable sections, but once you've got them all, it'll tell you the whole story. Yeah, because I'm sure you've guessed by now, the idea is to find out what happened here. Now, can I make it through the living room without you seeing what's in there? I mean, to be honest, it's not going to be anything insanely mind-blowing. You can probably already guess what's in the living room. In fact, if you do have guesses as to what's in there, whack them in the comments below. It'll be quite interesting to see what ideas you've got. I am neither going to confirm or deny it if you're right, but I'd be quite intrigued to read through and see how many of you come up with better ideas than I did. Just to point out, this was a pain in the arse to do, because I had to write an entire texture shader to get that effect. And yeah, before anyone says it, I know that they already exist, and there's another one of Pete's pictures, and I could have just dragged one down online or something like that, but an important thing to note with this game, aside from Pete's artwork and the font choices, everything else has been built from scratch. I have built every single asset, I have written every single line of code, I have coded every single shader. There is no development kits at use here. And which is one of the reasons why it's taken so bloody long, quite frankly. Yeah, another not so subtle use of light direction. Now, as you might have guessed from the title of this particular episode, the whole story hinges around getting under the stairs, into the basement, and finding the truth of what happened in this house. Right, I think I'm going to cut ahead now, so I'm not giving anything away, and I'm just going to run around and gather up a few items. Back in a sec. Right, so I've gathered up a few bits and pieces. We've made it through the living room without giving too much away. So, essentially, yes, this is going to be the core mechanic of this game. It's very much a classic Resident Evil disguised key hunt. So, we collect up our items, we use each one in the right place to unlock a new area so that we can find more bits and progress and find more evidence to the story. All pretty straightforward stuff. But I do find with the core mechanic, it is important to keep it simple. You can layer on extra stuff afterwards, like the story, for example, but that core central premise needs to stay very basic. Right, so, for example, I can now get my key, so there it is, use, and I have unlocked the shed. Brilliant. I'm not going to go in there, though, because I don't want to give anything away. Right, to be honest, I don't think there's a hell of a lot else we can do without me completely spoiling everything. So I think we're probably going to leave it there. But yeah, I should hopefully have this finished up in a couple of weeks. Like I say, it's just going to be a little experimental 10 to 15 minute playtime test run of all my mechanics, but it should give you a fun little story to play through and a nice little experience. I'll be chucking that up completely for free at that length, naturally, so keep an eye out. If you want to stay up to date with the progress, you can follow me at ProfessorStitch on both Twitter and Instagram. And of course, naturally, there is a big red subscribe button directly under this video too. So, without further ado, with further ado actually, one last big shout out to both Peter Shawnee for his artwork, thank you so much. Of course, Dave Marshall, who you may have seen at the credits at the beginning, because a lot of this story is entirely based around characters that he and I created together. And also a big thank you to Melissa Wright for her voice acting at the beginning. But yeah, other than that, I've got work to do now, so I'll leave you all to it. So stay tuned, keep your eyes peeled. I'll see you next time, and remember to play nice. Goodbye.